Mirabel finish telling the Riveras about their adventure in the land of the dead, which makes the shoemaking family understandably skeptical, with Rosa and Mama Coco being the sole exceptions. That night, Mirabel and Rosa discuss on how Mirabel can prove her gift to the rest of the family. Mirabel then comes up with the idea to bring the whole Rivera family to the land of the dead as a way to reunite them with their deceased loved ones. The next morning, Mirabel suggests her idea to the rest of the Riveras, who are unsure if using her gift like that is a good idea, considering how most of them have never been to the land of the dead, except for Miguel, of course. However, once Mirabel shows the many presents that she received from the dead during her time in the afterlife to both Alina and Mama Coco, they both agree to let Mirabel use her gift to bring them all to the land of the dead this coming Saturday. After Mirabelle trains herself throughout the week, she is able to form a portal using her magical abilities and bring the living Riveras to the afterlife to meet the deceased Riveras, where they all reunite with each other at the Mexican branch. Pedro also arrives to join in the reunion and introduces himself to Riveras, both living and dead, before they all decide to head to the deceased Rivera household, with Miguel finally telling his family about what happened during Dia de los Muertos. As they all hang out with each other at the deceased Rivera household and eat dinner together, Mirabel realizes that they never found Hector's body back in the living world, thus prompting the group to head to a special prison known as the Prisión de los Condenados in order to get Ernesto to confess over where he buried Hector after murdering him. They arrive at the prison as fast as they can due to Ernesto being scheduled for hell tomorrow and are able to convince both the prison guards and the warden to let them see Ernesto. When they do meet Ernesto and try to interrogate him, he refuses to answer any questions and instead insults them in defiance. However, Imelda is able to get him to talk by having Pepita torture him until he finally reveals that he buried Hector in San Javier, which is a seaport town close to Santa Cecilia. Now that they have the information they need, the group finally leave the prison, but not before Imelda gives Ernesto one last scathing speech of how she never wants to see him again and hopes he is forgotten for good. The chapter ends with the group standing outside of the prison as it closes up, along with bidding each other farewell before Mirabel uses her gift to send herself and the living Riveras home. The Madrigals bid their companions and the other villagers farewell, with Bruno and the spirit appointing the chosen villagers as their temporary replacement. However, when the Mendozas show up to try and ruin the moment, the spirit is able to scare them off before letting the Madrigals bid their friends farewell. Isabella gains the courage to politely turn down Mariano, while also leaving behind the mini mirror doll that she had been carrying with her for days so she can properly meet her sister again. The spirit then leads the Madrigals out of the Encanto to Tulio's house, which is a small shack that sits on the shores of a beach. Once the Madrigals arrive at Tulio's home and meet him at the front door, he lets them in before listening to their story. He instantly believes them when he hears about their once magical nature due to having encountered magical beings during his years of sailing and exploring around the world. However, he nearly turns on the family when he finds out about their mistreatment of both Bruno and Mirabel, with Bruno being the one he sympathizes the most. Tulio is especially vicious towards Peppa when he finds out about the wedding disaster and how Peppa chose to blame Bruno instead of taking responsibility. This drives Peppa to tears and prompts her to run out of the house, which forces Bruno to find her. He eventually finds her sitting on a large rock and crying in the forest while lamenting over how much her gift made her life difficult. She apologizes for the way she treated him, with Bruno forgiving her as he sees that she was going through similar hardships like he was, and they are able to comfort each other while properly reconciling with each other after years of being estranged. They then watch the sunset together at the beach, with the family watching the two of them and being happy over how they are able to get along again. Tulio then makes dinner for everyone, with the Madrigals, Sans, Alma, Bruno, and Peppa joining in. Tulio eventually apologized to Peppa while talking with Bruno privately over how happy he was that Bruno was able to get along with his own family again. He then reveals to the former seer over how he was born to a terrible family who constantly fought each other and cared more about their wealth and status than their own family members. Tully also suggests that Bruno can stay with him if he's having any further problems with his family, though Bruno declines as he promised Alita that he would come back to her. It is then revealed that Bruno has a crush on Alita, to which Tulio is very much supportive of and encourages the seer to confess to her as soon as he sees her again. The chapter ends with Bruno and his family staying at Tulio's home for the night, as Tulio agrees to take them to Mexico tomorrow.